Well, good morning, Coasties. That was Talk About It by Brennan Murphy. You are listening to us here at Rhema CC. I'm Lindy. I'm your Sunday morning host. So welcome to Sunday, guys. You've made it through another week. Well done. Congratulations. You can tick that week off and get ready to start the next one. It's going to be hopefully a great week for you. Hopefully things are settling if you happen to be back at school, if you're a school kid, teachers who, whatever your world looks like, if you're a school or education type person, you'll be well and truly back into it. So I hope and pray your week has been pretty good and not too stressful, getting back into the swing of things. It's not easy to get back into real life, is it, after you've had a little bit of time out? Not that you necessarily have a lot of time out if you're in teaching anyway, because it's one of those things, no one actually knows what goes on behind the scenes until they have to do it themselves. And I can verify, as someone who's lived with teachers who has studied teaching previously in a previous time, I know that there's not actually a chance to really fully call time out. So I do understand that. But it's like anything, any sort of work I think can be like that. We never really know what anyone does until we have to do it ourselves, and then suddenly we go, oh, did not realise that was part of it. But we can learn from each other. I guess talking about it is probably a good way for us to do that. Learn more about each other by actually talking to each other about what our own journeys, our own strengths, our own weaknesses, our things we're battling with at the moment, or that we have battled with in a time gone by. Talking about it, whatever it happens to be, just helps to sort of bridge those gaps that we tend to have with each other, with different, even denominationally, I think, if we're talking churches, I think we're doing a lot better than what we ever have. But I think just by being willing to listen to each other, things change. There's a different sort of way of approaching the bigger plan and bigger calling of God, which is to obviously love this community. If we happen to live on the Central Coast, it's this community in particular. Those in our world, our family, our friends, our broader communities, the state, across the globe, our nation. It's about loving, and the best way for us to learn about each other is to talk about whatever is happening, or whatever is happening in our society, in our culture, to be really open and honest and be willing to see things for what they are. But having said that, I'm going to take a little bit of a different direction at the moment. I'm going to be talking about spiritual gifts. So what are spiritual gifts? Well, we tend to look at personality types. Our culture is very much a case of, from a psychological sort of perspective, we look at personality types, we look at things that might lead us to become the people we are, whether it's the influences of, our parents or the generation that we grew up in, and there's so many different elements to who we become and how we become that. But one thing I think is pretty cool is really the study of spiritual gifts, because if we look at spiritual gifts, a lot of it can tell us kind of who we are in God's eyes, and we can base it, on biblical principles. So this whole concept of personality sort of testing and challenging and ticking the boxes for this or not ticking the boxes for that, and working out who we are in the world. You've got your, there's actually quite a few different personality tests. You can do them online even. There's little things you can go on there and just, work out what is, from a psychological perspective, sort of your personality type, if you like. But when we look at spiritual gifts, we actually look at something very similar. And I don't know about you guys, but I find it pretty cool to look at that and go, well, we think we're all very clever and all. And I guess we have made some huge advances throughout our time. But when we look at the Bible, we look at these gifts that God has given us. We can look at the type of people we are just by who He's obviously designed us to be, and how we can then apply them to the church. How can we give back to the church based on that? So I'm going to explore a little bit of that over the next few weeks. Some of those things include leadership, administration, teaching, knowledge, having wisdom, being a prophetic sort of person, whether it's through word or even just through the gift of prophecy, having things that have sort of put on you, whether it's dreams or visions or whatever, discernment, exhortation, shepherding, faith, evangelism, apostleship, service, helps, that they're kind of combined, mercy and giving. And the other one that I had just overlooked is hospitality. So there's a few that have been sort of identified, and over the next few weeks we're going to explore a few of those and how we can best use them if we kind of look and go, where do I fit and what are my gifts? So I'll leave it there for a bit, guys. I just wanted to give you that little introduction to where we're going over today and the weeks to come, and hopefully help you to just sort of channel in on who has God designed you to be in the church, and what can you offer in terms of your gifts? So we'll leave it there anyway, and I'll be back before too long. We'll talk some more stuff, and stick with me. All right. I'll see you guys soon. Good morning, guys. Welcome to Sunday morning. If you happen to be rolling out of bed, hope you're doing okay today. Hope that things are not too heavy, that you're actually waking up to a really exciting day. I hope that you've had a good week. As I said previously, I do hope that your week has been, reasonably okay. And if you are on your way to church, that you have a smile on your face, that you're ready to go. If you are just getting out of bed, that it's not too confronting. I know that this week I had a moment during the week where I just thought, oh man, literally when you've got kids, you just get up and you're straight into it. But I have been told it gets easier as they get older. I do see that. But yeah, we've still got the little kids too. So yeah, still working all that out, working if, whether or not it's actually the legit case or not. But I hear that things do get easier. Guys, we were just listening to All Things by Kirk Franklin, and we're talking about spiritual gifts actually over the next few weeks. So I have only just explored with you guys this morning a little bit about what is a spiritual gift and what's the point of it? Why do we need to know? What is a spiritual gift and how do we use it? I've just repeated myself about 3 times there. Sorry about that. But anyway, I sort of briefly went through the spiritual gifts that have been highlighted from different, like I'm just looking at the moment for myself. I'm just doing a little bit of research as I'm talking to you guys, but even just doing a quick Google search, I've come up with BibleStudyTools.com and just popped in there spiritual gifts, and they've given me a list of quite a few different spiritual gifts that we tend to sort of overlook within the church. I think we just sort of get on with it sometimes. We just forget to break it down and work out, okay, what have we got amongst us? What sort of gifts have we got here? Now, some of these were identified. I'll read them through with you again, just in case you weren't listening before. Leadership and administration, teaching, knowledge, wisdom, prophecy, discernment. Sorry, I'm just scrolling on my computer. Exhortation, shepherding, faith, evangelism, apostleship, service or helping, mercy, giving, and hospitality. Now, I look at those. I did a little bit of, actually, there's quite a few little tests that you can do online. And I did one only a few weeks ago. It was actually interesting because on the weekend, it must have been about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I, for some reason, did it. I just thought, okay, cool. I'm just going to do a spiritual gift test. And the results came back, but they were actually quite different to what I've done before. So not quite different, but I could say that there'd been movement in probably my spiritual path, because the results I came back with were different to what I would have had at a different time. So I find that interesting too. Yes, I mean, that's just a silly little thing online, but it does it kind of helps you discern where your gifting can be at different times in your walk, in your faith, in your journey. And so I think it's really important for us to be very aware of what we can contribute. I look at this list that I have just read to you, and I can honestly say that out of these, I would say that I don't think I'm a very hospitable person. I think the description they've got here is making people feel welcome, appreciated and wanted. So I have a look at that, and I look at my service within community services. Obviously, I think it's really important for me to be a hospitable person, but it does not come naturally. It really does not. I would say that my mum is a very hospitable person. I would say that if we're talking Rhema CC, Leanne is a very hospitable person. She loves to be out amongst it, serving. So I would say that for her, it's a mixture of that service, helps, and hospitality. There's that need to connect with people and meet them on a real practical level and just be warm and welcoming. I would say that there's a lot of people out there who their gifting is in being hospitable. It's opening those doors, saying, come on in, let's sit and have a meal together. And I can honestly say that there has been, in different times, I think if you're in ministry, you feel certain elements at different times to be different things. You feel the expectations of people that you do your life with to become what you think they want you to be. And I've had people say, oh, we should be opening our homes more to each other and, doing meals. And yep, that's really, really important to be able to just be engaging in that way. But I also know that for me, my anxiety level hit the roof every time I have to do that. So I'm not cut out that way. It's not something I'm necessarily born to do. I love having people around, but I also get very stressed with it because I just think, I need to, it probably is a control thing. It needs to be in control of the situation. And so what I think we need to be mindful of is that the fact that, yes, we are all built with our own gifting, but there's also elements of the spiritual gifts that we can be working on. If we're mindful of the things that we need to work on, then we can be, making steps towards strengthening those gifts. I think that's kind of the point of sort of we're exploring this morning. I think there's things that we can be working on. Does not mean that we're necessarily ever going to be, if you're someone who you think, evangelism is definitely not me, doesn't mean that that's necessarily going to come to you very, very easily. But I just think it's just being aware. It really is just being, and having that awareness that God can test us and change us and challenge us and can pull us into places where we suddenly go, oh, I did not think I would be someone who would be able to do that. But okay, you're putting these positions on me to make me sort of aware of the fact that you are the conductor of all, that you, God, are the conductor of all things. And when we have our faith in you, we know that you pull us into situations that stretch us and, prepare us in our giftings in different ways. So I'm going to just hold on to that thought for a moment. I am going to come back after a little bit and we're going to, dig a bit deeper again. I'm going to go into a few things more specifically in terms of our gifts. And I'll see you guys soon. Enjoy the song. Yeah, that was a good one. Bless God by Passion 2024. Guys, I'm Lindy. I'm your Sunday morning host here at Rhema CC. Welcome to Sunday. Welcome to a new week. Welcome to a new beginning. Welcome to whatever you've got in store today. I hope it's going to be a good one for you guys. Hope you're able to get out and put a big smile on your face and, for you to actually feel that smile. Not for that fake smile, but for that real deal smile that makes you kind of go, I am ready to embrace today. I've got one on my face. I don't know how, because sometimes we can be a bit grumpy, can't we? I just want to confess that, I can be that way. I'm sure you guys can too from time to time. But that makes us a little bit human, I guess. We can be all things. We can be, all sorts of emotions. Isn't it weird how we look at emotions? They can change so rapidly and so intensely. And so anyway, I'm just taking a bit of a derail there for where we're going this morning. We are talking spiritual gifts, guys. I just want to say it's a big one. There's a lot to cover because we have, through spiritual guidance, through biblical understanding, we can see that there are different things that God values, different attributes that He really values in the church. And we have an obligation to be mindful of that, to be aware of those in our little, our own little churches and our own little circles. And it's obviously being aware of other people, but also for ourselves, obviously knowing what we can and can't contribute. My cousin actually just recently, it was very bizarre because I had done a little test online to just see, where am I at? What would I say my spiritual gifts are? I think from memory it came up with wisdom, discernment, mercy, and there was another one that was a bit like, I can't remember. But anyway, I haven't got it in front of me at the moment. But it might have been exhortation. I don't actually remember. But anyway, but they were different to what I had covered previously. So it was a bit strange to kind of go, there's been a bit of a shift there. It's been things that show a bit of a different growth or a different direction in the way that God has been challenging me. So I encourage you guys this morning, just even if you can't do it, till later on today or at some point during the week, jump online, just do a quick Google search, find spiritual gift tests, and you can work out sort of what you can in the spiritual realm, if you're talking Christian faith, what sort of things you can contribute, what makes you you. I would say that I look at the list and there are some things that make me squirm and make me go, no, that's not me at all. And there are other things where I just think, I can sort of slide into that. I can embrace that. And I think we have to be very careful with how we value and view those gifts, because really when it comes down to it, we have to make sure our heart and our mind is fully on where God wants us. I was talking about hospitality before, and I think we tend to think of hospitality as, open the doors and let people come on in and, we'll serve them food and that sort of thing. And that's certainly part of it. But the definition they've got here in front of me is making people feel welcome, appreciated and wanted. And they've based that on particularly 1 Peter 4:9. So I'll read that to you actually, just to give you a bit of like background into what that actually is. The Bible verse is just basically saying, offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. So my confession previously was that I probably don't do that. So if you are listening and you get invited to my house, please don't think that I've been grumbling, but I do tend to stress myself out over that stuff. Biggest weakness. But again, you just go, okay, that's where God, he uses other people in that and lifts them up. And we need our hospitable people to kind of be the fruit of the church and be it's such a vital part to those connections within the church. And I'm not talking about just local church, I'm talking about the church as a whole, just being a place where we engage, we invite, we really just embrace others. I think we see, I'm going to just cover a couple this week because I just think, or maybe 2 to 3 of these things, because I just think there's some big stuff in it, and I want to dig deep properly. So another one here, we've got administration. Now, you might be someone who's a real admin, you may know your way around everything. And we need you guys. If you are someone who can help with keeping things on track, the description, if we go to what I've got in front of me at the moment, is along the lines of helping with long-term goals and remaining on task. So it may be the practical aspect of, for us at the moment, with the big community event coming up, we've got people behind the scenes who are getting things ready constantly. We've got these little, what do you call them? Not name tags. They're like, what do you call them? They go around your neck. I've gone completely blank, but you see them. Lanyards. Thank you. My brain actually worked then. That's pretty impressive. But we've got people in making, those where they've got the laminating pouches out and they've got them all chopped up and ready to go for the kids to be able to walk in and go, yeah, cool, I'm a part of this. And they might, to some people, look like they are nothing, but in the big scheme of things, they're huge. We have our administrators who, they know the ins and outs of the budget. They know what's going on financially. They know what's going on in terms of ticking the boxes from an administration perspective. I would say that my husband is very good with that stuff. I look through some of the stuff and I think there have been days where I've been like others and thought, what do pastors actually do? And then I'm like, oh, he does a lot of that stuff that I just had no idea about. Guess this goes back to what I was saying before. We really don't have any idea what anyone does in their workplace until we actually see it ourselves and suddenly go, oh, right, there's a fair bit of stuff in that. Some of us have gifting in administration. I think generally if we look at the workplace, a lot of us have to develop that gift anyway, whether it's working, medical or education or it doesn't matter, whatever. Administration becomes a big part of pretty much everything we do now, which is hard, but I guess in terms of spiritual gifts, being able to transfer those skills across to the church and use those in a way of, it is a gift. It's a gift that God gives us to be able to do it, obviously, but it's also a gift for us to be able to pass that on. And I think that's the thing about spiritual gifts is you look at it and you go, oh, there's a lot to explore in terms of what it actually means to be able to possess or to be able to demonstrate those certain things. I'm trying to stick with the kind of everyday sort of things at the moment just because I think, I think it's relevant. I think they're things that we can start with, that sort of foundational stuff that we can all be working on in some way or another. But there's certainly lots for us to cover over the next few weeks. I'm going to leave it here for a little bit, guys. I'm going to come back I'll actually be back after Greg Laurie with A New Beginning. And we'll chat then. We'll chat some more about that then. And anyway, I'll skedaddle for a bit and I'll see you guys soon. Welcome back, listeners. That was Just Jesus by Young and Free. You are listening to us here at Rhema CC. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Sunday morning. I hope you're having a beautiful one at that. And I hope and I pray that you have felt all the blessings this week, that you are feeling alive in yourself, that in your community you are valued, because you are. You genuinely are. Every one of you has something to offer and something to get up for, whether you feel it today or not. God has given you a new opportunity. You've got breath in those lungs of yours. You've got that heart beating, that brain still ticking. So it's a pretty good sign that there's some stuff there that you are still here for. I hope you can embrace it today. Hope you can make the most of that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to give you some things to think about. We are talking spiritual gifts at the moment. And this morning we've covered a few already, but nothing too detailed. I've just been dancing around a few of the spiritual gifts that have been identified. And I've just found these through BibleStudyTools.com. So we talked about hospitality. and we talked about what that means. From their perspective, it just means making people feel welcome, appreciated, and wanted. I sort of danced around the idea of, we think of hospitality as those, the meals. It's the inviting people into your home. I think that's certainly part of it. But if we look at the gift itself, it's generally that thing of just feeling welcome and appreciated and wanted. And they had based that, when I say they, I mean BibleStudyTools.com, which is where I'm sort of dancing around this morning. They based that on 1 Peter 4:9. And in that particular verse, it's pretty straightforward, really. It's just basically saying, offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. So it's the heart behind it. We also talked a little bit about administration. I need to slow my speaking down because I'm racing ahead in my brain. And administration, according to them, as a spiritual gift, is basically helping with long-term goals and remaining on task. And for them, they have sort of tied this to 1 Corinthians 12:28. Now that spiritual gift, as noted as a spiritual gift, has been, I'll read it out to you. So it's 1 Corinthians 12:28. And God has placed in the church, first of all, apostles, second prophets, third teachers, then miracles, then gifts of healing, of helping, of guidance, and of different kinds of tongues. I'm just trying to see what exactly that was. Yeah, so I guess I'm just trying to put the dots together myself. But I think just highlighting there for them that there's a place for everything. And I don't really know what the link between that and administration was. I'll have to research that myself between now and the next time I speak to you guys. But so we are going to now talk just a little bit, about something else that is probably quite relevant to most organisations that are out there that are just trying to do their best to keep their service active. And I think for us here at Rhema, you guys are very aware that this is, October is our month for sort of putting things out there and saying, hey, we're trying to look ahead. We're trying to get ahead in terms of what we can offer to the generations to come. And so for that reason, I want to look at giving as a spiritual gift. And it really can be a gift to the church. People with this gift, it says in what I'm reading at the moment, will give freely and with joy to further his kingdom. So financially is a big aspect of that. Obviously, it's that willingness to say, I have got something to give and I will give. And that openness to go, God, what is mine is yours, because it really is yours. It's not actually mine. And I want to be able to make sure I can bless people with it. So if you are someone who is able to do that, then it's a real... it's an honour to be able to do that, I think. I think giving financially, but also giving in other ways. There can be other methods and modalities that we do that. But in terms of our sort of everyday application right now, as we sit here talking about this, giving in terms of financial is pretty relevant to what we're talking about here at Rhema. Just if you've got something to give and you are able to give and you give freely, you are utilising those spiritual gifts that God has given you. Your giving is not just a giving out of what's the word I'm looking for? A kind of a sense of, I'm just doing it because it feels like it's the right thing to do. When you are giving with a heart that says, I want to bless, there is something about that is it's above the sort of standard. It's like, all right, God, I understand that this is to be shared. This is to be a blessing. This is not just for me. This is for us. So I want to challenge you today, guys, if you are someone who is able to give, if you are involved in, any church sort of stuff, any sort of ministries that you really value, if you want, again, Rhema is a great place. Rhema Central Coast, we're here trying to tick boxes and make sure we can stretch, go the distance, really, just make sure we can fill in those gaps and ensure that those yet to come have a place that's safe and just it keeps going beyond today. So you have a lot of places where you can certainly contribute and help financially, and we do thank you for that. I thank you for that, not just here for Rhema, but for those other organisations that you're helping out. You don't realise how much your financial and physical, emotional, even just giving it can just be a true blessing. So I'm going to leave it there for a bit, guys. We are going to dig. I'll pull these things together for a little bit when we come back shortly. But there's certainly a few weeks worth of stuff here we're going to explore. And I hope and pray you're able to sort of explore for yourself whether or not today any of the things that we've talked about might be something that you need to be praying about some more. But we'll leave it there and I'll come back again. I'll be back, really shortly. And we'll sort of tie things together for today. I'll see you guys soon. Well, will you look at that, hey? Who You Say I Am by Hillsong Worship. What a good way for us to enter, this little stage of the morning. We've been talking about spiritual gifts, guys, here at Rhema CC. I'm Lindy. I am your Sunday morning host. And as I said, we just heard Who You Say I Am by Hillsong Worship. It was pretty good little entry point, I had to say, to tie things together for this morning. We obviously have not covered everything with spiritual gifts, and I will be covering it over the next few weeks because there's a lot to it. And I think it's really important for us to be mindful of what we are able to bless others with. And gifting, spiritual gifts, go beyond all the personality tests that we find today online or through psychologists and counsellors and, even down to occupational therapy and stuff like that. When we look at, I know for myself, I used to, when I was doing training with job seekers, a lot of what we did was talk about the different hemispheres of the brain and like the right, left and creative versus logical, all that sort of stuff. So what we are seeing here when we look at spiritual gifts goes beyond that. It goes generations, decades. Like it's this stuff is stuff that has been recognized from a spiritual perspective far beyond anything that our era of time has been able, it just exceeds it. I think it's pretty cool. We look at the Bible and we go, okay, these are the things that God has shown us. He really honors and he really respects and he really wants to be utilized within the church framework. And obviously that means across the globe, because we as a church, when we're on mission and we're out there just doing what we need to do as individuals, but also as a church, if we are using the gifts that we have just to touch the world, then we are doing what he is asking us to do. Now, some of the things we covered this morning, I had mentioned previously, I literally just got this stuff. I got it from a few different websites, but today I'm working from BibleStudyTools.com, and I've just put in there spiritual gifts. So we got leadership, administration, teaching, knowledge, wisdom, prophecy, discernment, exhortation, shepherding, faith, evangelism, apostleship, service, and that's also helps. So that could be just like practical assistance, mercy, giving, and hospitality. Now, I'm going to explore each of these, in a more detailed sort of setting over the next few weeks. But today we have covered so far hospitality, we spoke giving, and we spoke about administration. These three things might be something that you find come with ease to you. And if they are, I want to encourage you to use them in ways that that can benefit your local church, the church as a whole, just be very mindful of the gifts that God has given you in that way and pray about it. Ask those who are in your little realm or your little world how you can how you can utilize those skills most and those giftings most. I want to encourage you guys, if we are going to be a church on as an army out there doing what we need to do, the best way for us to do that is be very self-aware and to know what we can offer. And if you're like me, like today, I kind of mentioned that hospitality that's not really my thing. Know the things that we are not overly comfortable with, but the things that we need to be working on. I think it's just so important to have that self-awareness and know what we can and can't do. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. But over the next few weeks, as I said, we will be exploring this a bit more. And I'm kind of looking forward to it because I think it is one of those things that, we can look at all the theories and ideas out there, but when we look at Scripture and we base our understanding of who we are in the world from a scriptural perspective, it certainly helps to lighten the load and help us to be able to focus our ministry on where we're going and how we can contribute. Every one of us has a part to play. The little finger, the head, the heart, the left rib. Every one of us, doesn't matter what it is, the whole body needs to come together and work together. And when things are off for one part of the body, it can mess the other things around. So, I just really encourage you today, take some time out, Pray about what you can and can't, I won't say can't, but what you don't find as easily to contribute in terms of spiritual gifts. God's calling on you guys. He's calling on all of us to keep stepping up and just keep giving our hearts to him and allowing him to direct us in the path that we want to go, that he wants us to go. He's a good God, huh? I have to say that. Anyway, guys, I hope you're having a beautiful week. As I said, I look forward to seeing you guys next week, next Sunday, if you happen to be floating around with my voice, lingering in the background. I'll see you guys next Sunday. I do look forward to it and hope and pray you have all the blessings that you can imagine. I hope to see you guys I'll be here next week for the open day too. So if you happen to be around, I look forward to seeing you there, and so will the rest of the team. It's a great team that works here, and we thank you for your support. We hope to see you guys either here literally or hear you around, see you around, whatever. Anyway, all right guys, take it easy, and I will be back next Sunday. See ya.